Introduction. What is history? The study of the past is called history. The English word history is derived from the Greek word historia, meaning research, inquiry of investigation. The Greek historian Herodotus, 484 BC 425 BC, was the first real historian of the world. He wrote only one book, the Histories, 430 BC, the Histories describes the background and events of the Greco-Persian Greek-Iranian wars. It was the Roman philosopher Cicero, 106 BC 43 BC, who first of all called Herodotus as the father of history. The German historian Leopold von Ranke, 1795-1886 AD, is known as the father of modern history. According to Ranke, the task of a historian is to describe the past as it actually was. Wie es eigentlich gewesen, German words, what it, the past, actually was. English translation, the German philosopher Hegel, 1770-1831 AD, once said, history repeats itself. Later on German economist and philosopher Karl Marx, 1818-83 AD, extended the line, history repeats itself, first as tragedy, second as farce. As taught according to British historian E. H. Carr, 1892-1982 AD, history is a continuous process of interaction between the historian and his facts, and so unending dialogue between the present and the past. A system of dating. BC and AD. BC is the acronym of Before Christ. This is an English phrase meaning, before the birth of Jesus Christ. So, the years before the birth of Jesus Christ is known as before Christ, and it is denoted as BC in short. E.g., Gautama Buddha was born in 563 BC and died in 483 BC. Alexander the Great was born in 356 BC and died in 323 BC. AD is the acronym of Anno Domini. This is a Latin phrase meaning, in the year of the Lord, Jesus Christi. So, the years beginning with the birth of Jesus Christ is known as Anno Domini, and it is denoted as AD in short. E.g., Jesus Christ was crucified in 30 AD. Kushana ruler Kanishka ascended the throne in 78 AD. Hazrat Muhammad was born in 570 AD and died in 632 AD. Timeline, the line displaying the events of past time is called timeline. 0. 500 543211234 500. BC 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 AD 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 AD. BC AD. From the above-mentioned timeline, it is clear that the years before the birth of Christ are counted backward, with 906. 3 BC. From the above-mentioned timeline, it is also clear that the years after the birth of Jesus Christ are counted forward. It implies that the meaning of 1 year after 1 AD is 2 AD, 1 year after 2 AD is 3 AD, 1 year after 3 AD is 4 AD, 1 year after 4 AD is 5 AD. In the mathematical language, it is like forward counting, 1, 2, 3 and so on. Now if anyone raises a question that which year is the first one and which year is the last one in 500 AD and 2000 AD, then right answer will be 500 AD is the first one and 2000 AD is the last one. It means firstly the year 500 AD passed and after that 2000 AD appeared. Time glossary. The glossary relating to time is known as time glossary. Important terms associated with time are decade, the period of 10 years, first half, first 50 years of a century, i.e. the period from of a century, _ 1 cent year to 50th year, second half, last 50 years of a century, i.e. the period from of a century, 51st year to 100th year. Century, the period of 100 years. Millennium, the period of 1000 years, circa ca.c. If the exact date is not known, then the word circa is used with the date. In short, circa is denoted as ca. Or see example, c 1500 BC 600 BC. The Vedic culture period means that the exact date of Vedic culture period is not known, but it, c 1500 BC 600 BC, is somewhere close to that. First decade of 20th century AD means period from 1901 AD to 1910 AD. Fifth decade of 20th century AD means period from 1941 AD to 1950 AD. Eighth decade of 20th century AD means period from 1971 AD to 1980 AD. Last decade of 20th century AD means period from 1991 AD to 2000 AD. First half of 20th century AD means from 1901 AD to 1950 AD. Second half of 20th century AD means from 1951 AD to 2000 AD 908. 6th century BC means 600 BC to 501 BC. 4th century BC means 400 BC to 301 BC. 16th century AD means 1501 AD to 1600 AD. 20th century AD means 1901 AD to 2000 AD. Important eras. Name of reckon remarks. The era from Kali 3102 to 3101 began 20 years after the end of Mahabharata. Saptarshi 3077 to 3076 started after the expiry of 25 Kali year. Lokika BC Vikram 58/57 BC commenced by Vikramaditya, the local king Krita of Ujjayini, Malwa, to commemorate on the occasion of his ascendance to the throne. Saka era is known as Salivana Sakabda in South India. The government of India adopted Saka era along with the Gregorian calendar, i.e. Julian calendar, Christian calendar, as national calendar. The occasion of his ascendance to the throne. After the fall of the Guptas, the Matrakas of Valgi used this era with a new name Valgi Samvata. The beginning of Gupta era was fixed by J.F. Fleet in 1887 AD. Nevari 879 AD founded by Jaldev Mol. Nepali Chalukya 1076 AD founded by Vikramaditya VI, the Vikram Chalukya ruler of Kalyani, on the occasion of his ascendance to the throne. Lakshmana 1119 AD founded by Sen ruler of Bengal Lakshmana Sen. Ilahi 1556 AD founded by Mughal ruler Akbar in 1584 AD, but in 1658 AD Aurangzeb abolished the use of Ilahi era. Rajsakha 1674 AD founded by Maratha Chakravarti Shivaji to pronounce his ascendance to the throne. Note, 1 development sequence of Gregorian calendar, Julian calendar, introduced in 46 BC by Roman King Julius Caesar, 909, Gregorian calendar, introduced in 1582 AD by Roman Pope Gregory XIII, Gregorian calendar is modified form of calendar and Christian calendar is modified form Julian calendar. It means these calendars are synonyms to one another. The eras, except Vikram, Saka and Hijri era, are vanished in course of time or still in use in regions. National calendar, Saka Samvata is used in government sectors customarily, officially, whereas Gregorian calendar is used everywhere practically. Conversion of eras, with the help of above table, any era can be converted into other era. Conversion of AD of Christian era in Vikram era, for conversion of AD era in Vikram era, 57 is added to AD e.g. convert 2013 AD into Vikram era. AD Vikram 2013 plus 57 is equal to 2070 conversion of Vikram era into AD era. To find AD era from Vikram era, 57 is subtracted from Vikram era. E.g. convert 2070 Vikram era into AD era. Vikram AD 2070-57 is equal to 2013 conversion of AD era into Saka era. To get Saka era from AD era, 78 is subtracted from AD. E.g. convert 2013 AD into Saka era. AD Saka 2013 to 78 is equal to 1935 conversion of Saka era into AD era. To find equivalent AD era from Saka era, 78 is added to Saka era. E.g. convert 1935 Saka era into AD era. Saka at _1935 plus 78 is equal to 2013 conversion of AD of Christian era into Hijri era. To calculate Hijri era from AD of Christian era, the following formula, C, 622, x 332 is equal to, H is used. E.g. convert 2013 AD of Christian era into Hijri era. 2013 to 622. 3332 is equal to 1434 H conversion of Hijri era into AD of Christian era. To calculate AD of Christian era from Hijri era, the following formula, HX24 plus 622 is equal to, C is used. E.g. convert 1434 Hijri era into AD of Christian era. 1434 x 3233 plus 622 is equal to 2013. C. Bipartite division. History is generally divided into two periods, prehistoric and historic. The period that has no written evidences is called prehistoric period. His and Toric the period. That in Itihas are reversed 10 AV. The densest period is before known Tashe. Of is historic beginning the accepted historic period. As of period after 30 lakhs writing the Thias Timbigi 600 is BC equal BC in period tuning 600 to D prehistorical of BC of writing date. Prehistoric and the C is time period known pe period Andas. 909. Tripartite division. Tripartite division of history is more prevalent in practice. According to this, history is divided into three periods: prehistoric, protohistoric and historic. Name of time definition and example. The period pre 30 lakhs BC, the period for which no written historic 2,500 BC evidence is available. 2 lithic, stone. Period proto 2,500 BC, the period for which written evidence is historic 600 BC available, but either their script used in period the documents has not been deciphered or their written documents have not been confirmed with archaeological evidences, e.g. Indus civilization and Vedic culture. In the case of Indus civilization, we have not yet been able to decipher their script, and in the case of Vedic culture, we have not sufficient archaeological evidences to confirm written evidences of that period. Historic 600 BC, the period for which written evidences is period detail date available, e.g. Mahajanpada period to tell date. Chronology. German historian Christoph Selleries, 1638 to 1707 AD, Westerfest historian who gave us tripartite division of history. He divided history into three periods: ancient, medieval and modern history. After him, this tripartite division became standard model for history writing or reading. For convenience of study, Indian history is divided into three periods: ancient India, the beginning 647 AD, i.e. from lithic, stone, period to death of Harsha; medieval India 647 to 1757, i.e. from death of Harsha to the Battle of Plassey; modern India 1757 to 1990, i.e. from the Battle of Plassey to globalization; postmodern 1991 till date India, i.e. from globalization to till date ancient India, the beginning 647 AD; prehistoric period 30 lakhs BC 600 BC, Indus civilization 2500 BC 1750 BC. Vedic culture 1500 BC 600 BC, Mahajanpada period 600 BC 322 BC, Maurya period 322 BC 185 BC, post-Maurya pre-Gupta period 185 BC 319 AD, Gupta period 319 AD 550 AD, post-Gupta period Vardhana dynasty 550 AD 647 AD. Note, on the basis of tools, prehistoric period is divided into three sub-periods: lithic, stone, period, copper period and iron period. First, the mercantile 1757 to 1813 monopoly of trade and direct phase appropriation of revenue 910, modern period, 1757 to 1990 stages of British colonialism. Second, the industrial 1813 to 1858 period of laissez-faire, i.e. free phase. Third, the financial 1860 to 1947 finance imperialism, period phase of British capital investment in India. British policy towards native states of India. Ring fence policy 1757 to 1813. Subordinate isolation policy 1813 to 1858. Subordinate union policy 1858 to 1935. Equal federation policy 1935 to 1947. National movement. First phase of Congress 1885 to 1905. Moderate phase. Second phase of Congress 1905 to 1917. Extremist phase. Third phase of Congress 1917 to 1947. Gandhian era. Ancient India. Historical sources. The sources that give information about the events of past time are known as historical sources. There are two types of historical sources: literary sources and archaeological sources. Compared to literary sources, archaeological sources are believed to be more reliable, because it is almost impossible to underscore change them. That's why, as historical evidence, the archaeological sources take precedence over the literary sources. The archaeological sources are more important to the study of ancient India. Literary sources. Literary sources are divided into two categories: indigenous and foreign. Indigenous sources. Indigenous sources are divided into two categories: religious and secular. Under religious texts, Brahmanic, Hindu texts, Buddhist texts, and Jain texts are included. Under secular texts, historical texts, semi-historical texts, biographical texts, etc. are included. Brahmanic, Hindu texts. Under Brahmanic, Hindu texts, Shruti and Smriti texts are included. Shruti texts, Sanhitas or Vedas, Brahmanas, Aranyakas and Upanishads. Smriti texts, Vedangas or Sutras, Smritis, epics, Ramayana and Mahabharata, and Purans. There are four Sanhitas or Vedas: Rigveda, Yajurveda, Samaveda and Atharvaveda. RYSA Sanhita Veda. Composing time. Composing region: Rig Veda 1500 BC 1000 BC. Sapta Sindha region: Yajur, Sam and 1100 BC 600 BC. Kurupanchala region: Atharva Veda. Vedas throw more light on religious, social and economic life and less light on political life of the Aryans. From point of view of history, Rig Veda and Atharva Veda have more importance than Yajur Veda and Samaveda. The BC Shak. Composing Apta time. Brahmana of Brahm throws Anna's light is 1000 on BC. Gandhar 2. 600 Shalya, Kekya etc. of northwest region and Kurupanchala, Koshala, Videha states of east region of India. 915, Lucent's for the composing time of Aranyakas is 1000 BC to 600 BC. The historical importance of Aranyakas is negligible. The composing time of Upanishads is 1000 BC to 500 BC. The best learnings of Upanishads is Paravidya, I.E, spiritual soul learning into NG. Words the aim soul of life which is me is ring known theas individuals Paravidya. The combined study of Brahmanas and Upanishads provides historical information from King Parikshit to King Bimbisar. The composing time of Vedangas is 600 BC to 200 AD. The Vedangas throw light on ancient Indian history, civilization and culture. The composing time of Smritis is 600 BC to 600 AD. The Smritis provide the knowledge of social organizations, their theories, customs, king's rights and duties, king's relation with their subjects, etc. The composing time of epics, Ramayana and Mahabharata, is 400 BC to 400 AD. The Ramayana, Valmiki, throws light on political, social and religious conditions of India of that time. This book provides information about the origin and development of Janpadas. Besides this, it mentions Yavanas, Greeks, and Sakas, Scythians. The Mahabharata, Vedvyas, throws light on political, social and religious conditions of India of that time. It is the extensive form of Mahabharata war which is fought around 950 BC between the Kauravas and Pandavas. The Mahabharata claims, young Bharte and Bharte, I.E, which is not in Mahabharata, that is not found in Bharat, India. Girivraja, the capital of Magad, is mentioned in it. The Mahabharata informs us that the Panchala state was in existence from the time of Mahabharata. Besides this, it mentions Huns along with Yavanas and Sakas. The composing time of Purans is 400 BC to 400 AD. The Purans throw light on the history of India from very beginning to Gupta period. Generally, Purans have 5 segments: Saga, creation of the universe; Pratisaga, recreation; Vamsa, genealogy of the gods and the sages; Manvanta, epochs of Manu; and Vansanucharitam, narratives of ancient dynasties, in which only Vansanucharitam is important from point of view of history. Unfortunately, Vansanucharitam are not found in every Purans. The only Purans that have Vansanucharitams are Matsya, Bhagvat, Vishnu, Vayu, Brahma, Bhavishya and Garud Puran. Garud Puran has genealogies of Purva, Ikshvaku and Brahadrat dynasties, but its date is not definite. Buddhist texts. The Buddhist texts are divided into 2 categories: Pali texts and Anupali texts. Among Pali texts, Tripitaka, Deepvansha, and Mahavansha, Milindapannaho, etc. are important texts. The Tripitaka is the earliest and the most important texts among Pali texts. The Tripitaka comprises Vinyapitaka, Satapitaka, and Abhidhamma. Was compiled Pitrajagriha aka compiled the in Vinyada, Bihar, in first while Pitaka, third Buddhist the end the council, Abhidhamma, Sata council, 483 Pitaka, BC, 250 Pitaka were held BC, in the 915. Held in Patliputra, Bihar. The Tripitaka throws light on social and religious life of India of that time I.e. the centuries before Christ. Vinaya Pitaka contains disciplinary rules and regulations for leading a monastic life. Satta Pitaka is the largest and the most important text among Tripitaka. Ambata Satta of the Nikaya of Satta Pitaka contains the description of the special pride of Kshatriya for blood purity. Anguttara Nikaya of Satta Pitaka contains the list of 16 Mahajanapadas. Jataka of Kudaka Nikaya of Satta Pitaka contains 549 folk tales of the previous births of Gautama Buddha. The compilation of Jataka had begun in 18th century BC. This fact is very clear from the sceneries curved on the railings of Garahuta and Sanchi stupas. The verse part of Jataka is older than the prose part. The compilation of the verse part of the Jataka had been completed up to 2nd century AD. Though Jataka is a religious and cultural text, it throws suffice light on social and economic conditions of that time. Abhidhamma Pitaka deals with the doctrines of the Buddha in scholastic manner. Deepvansha, 4th century AD, and Mahavansha, 5th century AD, had been compiled in Sri Lanka. Though these texts contain the history of Sri Lanka, they throw light on ancient Indian history, especially these are very helpful in constructing Mauryan history. Originally, Milindapannaho, I.e. Questions of Milinda is a dialogue between Greek king Milinda, identified as Menander, the Indo-Greek ruler, and Buddhist monk Nagasena, identified as Nagarjuna, on philosophical matter, but it throws suffice light on religious, social and economic life of northwest India of 1st to 2nd century AD. The political condition of that time is mentioned occasionally in it. The foreign trade of India is lively described in it. Among Anupali texts, I.e. Sanskrit texts and other texts, Divyavadan, Ayamanju Shrimalkalpa, Lalit Vistar, etc. are important texts. Divyavadan contains the stories of later Mauryan kings and Shunga king, Pushyamitra Shunga, and life of Gautam Buddha. Political events of pre-Mauryan period to Vardhana period, Harshavardhana, are described occasionally in Ayamanju Shrimalkalpa. Lalit Vistar contains the acts of Gautama Buddha along with religious and social conditions of that time. Jain texts. The Jain texts throw light on religious and social conditions of that time. The Jain texts were eventually compiled in 6th century AD in 2nd Jain Mahasabha held at Vallabhi in Gujarat. Among the Jain texts 12 Angas are important. The Acharanga Sutra contains disciplinary rules and regulations for Jain monks. Bhagavati Sutra throws light on the life of Mahavira and contains the list of 16 Mahajanpadas. Namadhamma Katha Sutra contains the preachings of Mahavira. Antagda Dasau and Anukrovavayi Dasau contain life stories of famous Jain on Karma monks. Phala, Vivgasuyami.e. Fruits of Suactions.tra contains discussion. 916, Indian High. Bhadrabahu Charita contains the life sketch of Jain Acharya Bhadrabahu along with the glimpses of the later the life of Mauryan king Chandragupta Maurya. From point of view of history, the Parishishtaprav, written by Jain Acharya Hemchandra has the most important place among Jain texts. Historical texts. Although there is no such text of ancient India that can be properly called historical text, because almost every text had been written in a literary or religious color, but there are some certain texts in which some historical material are available in a dispersed manner. Kautilya's Arthashastra was compiled in 4th century BC. It gives not only detailed information about the system of administration, but also an idea of the social and religious life of the people of that time. It is comparable with Aristotle's Politics and Machiavelli's Prince. Kamandaka's Nitisa, 4th to 6th century AD, throws some light on the monarchy of Gupta period. Shukra's Shukranitisar throws some light on the monarchy of that time. Somdev Suri's Nitisa Niti Vekayangrita gives information about state machinery of that time. Brihaspati's Bratsapya Arthashastra is a text in Kautilya's Arthashastra tradition. The best example of the earliest historical writing is provided by Rajatrangini, i.e. the Stream of Kings, written by Kalhana in the 12th century AD. It is a string of biographies of the kings of Kashmir. It may be the first work to possess several characteristics of historical writing as it is understood today. In the words of eminent historian R.C. Majumdar, there is only one historical work, properly so called, written by Kalhana in 12th century AD. This is Rajatrangini, which deals with the history of Kashmir from the earliest times up to the date of composition of that work, i.e. 1148 to 50 AD. It assumes, however, a regular historical form only from the 7th century AD, the earlier chapter being a medley of confused traditions and fanciful imaginations, the Chronicles of Gujarat Prabandh Kosh. Rajshekhara, Hamir Mad Mardan, Jessing, Tejpal Prashasti, Vastupal, Prabandha Chintamani, Merutang, etc. throw light on the history of Gujarat. The most remarkable text among the Chronicles of Sindh is Chachnama. In 8th century AD, Qazi Ismail, Qazi of Lahore appointed by Muhammad bin Qasim, wrote a book namely Tarikh-i-Sindh wa Hind, I.e. History of Sindh or Hind, in Arabic language which is translated in Persian language by the name of Chachnama, by Ali bin Hamid Kufi in 1216 AD. The Chachnama is also known as Fatehnama-i-Sindh. It provides detailed description of Muhammad bin Qasim's Sindh conquest, 711 to 12 AD. Semi-historical texts. Though Panini's Ashtadhyayi is a grammar book, it throws suffice light on political condition of pre-Maurya and Maurya period. Sage Graji's Gargi Sanhita is a part of Yug Puran. It is basically a Jyotish text but it also mentions Greek and Scythian invasions. 916. 5. Bhupatanjali's K on Panini's Mahabhashya, Ashtadhyayi is basically, but it YA also complimentary provide ample historical material regarding that time. Kalidas' Malvignagni is a play, drama. It is the first play written by him. It provides information about political condition of Shunga dynasty and previous royal dynasties. It is called the mirror of interior life of royal dynasties. Vishakadatta's Mudra Rakshasa is basically a drama, but it contains the description of Chandragupta Maurya, his prime minister Chanakya and some contemporary kings. It describes how Chandragupta Maurya got Chanakya's assistance and overthrew the Nandas. Besides this, it gives an excellent account of the prevailing socio-economic conditions of that time. Biographical texts. Biographical writers took lives of their royal patrons as the theme of their literary works. So the biographical texts cannot be regarded as genuine history although they contain some valuable historical information. Their main object was the glorification of the king rather than giving a real picture of his life and times. That's why these are called Prashasti Kavya, i.e. eulogy verse. Banabhatta composed Harsha Charita, based on the life of his patron King Harshavardhana in 620 AD. It is the earliest available biographical text in India. It is written in Sanskrit language. It contains 8 uchachavas i.e. chapters. The first 3 chapters contain the autobiography of Banabhatta and rest 5 chapters contain the life story of Harshavardhana. Daudila Ekshagarat, it gives us excellent idea of court life under Harshavardhana and the social and religious life in his time. Vakpati Raj's Goidwaho, Godwada, contains detailed description of victories of Yashovamana, the Chandra ruler of Kannauj in which the most important event described is killing, Vada, of God king by king of Kannauj, Yashovamana. Padmagupta Parimal's Navas Hasnaka Charita describes the life story of Vakpati Munj, the Paramra ruler of Malwa. Balal's Goja Prabandha contains the life story of Goja, the Paramra ruler of Malwa. Bilhana's Vikramanka Charita recounts the achievements of his patron Vikramaditya VI, Vikramanka, the Chalukya king of Kalyani. It describes the circumstances in which Vikramaditya VI, Vikramanka, ascended the throne of Kalyani. Sandhya Kisov Tori Kali of Yuga, A.R. Palanandin's Dinan Asti, his Ramcharita, Napatran Din as an story, Dvyasra the called extraordinary Rampala Pala throws of himself light as Valmiki Rama, style on IE style Hirotya. Nandov simultaneously, Ramayana, in wrote and this narrates is known Rabuk Mplte in a, King, Rama, Kavya, such the of verse, poetry, verse with 2 base Sanskrit Prakrit, meanings. Kumapala Hicharita, ruler Machov Anna describes Nihil Ras Kumapala, it is also other, Dvisrachoy Luhide text Ya Kavya. Solanki it simultaneously rules of Sanskrit narrates Vara, and the Prakrit grammar. The King Kumapala story of N917, 6 Lucents, Jal Singh Suri's Kumapala Bhupla Charita, describes Kumapala, the Choilukya ruler of Anihelvara. Anand Bhatt's Balal Charita describes the history of Balal Sena, the Sena ruler of Bengal. Chandpadai was a court poet and friend of Prithwaraja III, the Chauhan ruler of Shakambari. He wrote Prithwaraja Raso, the first epic of Hindi language. Prithwaraja Raso describes the life account of Prithwaraja III and conflict between Prithwaraja III and Muhammad Gori. Jayanak's Prithwaraja Vijaya contains poetic description of struggles of Prithwaraja III, the Chauhan ruler. Jalchandra's Hamir Kavya describes the life account of Hamir Dev, the Chauhan ruler of Ranthambore. Rajnath II's Achyut Rajbayudaya throws light on Achyutadeva Ray, the Tuluva ruler of Vijayanagar. Court poets and their patron kings. Court poet patron king, dynasty, Banabhatta Harshavardhana, 606-47, Vardhana, Vakpati Raja Yashovamana, 700-40, Chandra, Padmagupta Parimal Vakpatimanch, 973-96, Pamra, Vallal Goja, 1010-55, Pamra, Bilhana Vikramaditya VI, 1076-1126, Chalukya, Sandhyakar Nandin Rampala, 1077-1120, Pala, Hemchandra Kumapala, 1088-1172, Choilukya Solanki, Jessing Suri Kumarpala, 1088-1172, Choilukya Solanki, Anand Bhatta Ballad Sena, 1158-78, Sena. Chandpadai Prithwaraja III, 1178-92, Chauhana, Jayanak Prithwiraja III, 1178-92, Chauhana, Jachandra Hamir Deva, 1283-131, Chauhana. Rajnath II. Achyutadeva Ray, 1529-42, Tuluva. B. Foreign sources. Indigenous sources can be supplemented by foreign sources. The writings of foreign travelers and chroniclers provide valuable sources of ancient Indian history. Of these, some visited India and some others who visited India, like Herodotus, Ctesias, Pliny, Justin, Sihab el-Dinumari etc., but based their accounts on informations received from different sources. To India came Greek, Chinese, Tibetan, Arabian, Arab, visitors, merchants, ambassadors, historians, pilgrims, travelers etc., and some of them left behind accounts of the things that they saw. These accounts help in the writing of Indian history, especially in resolving the problem of chronology. These have been found immensely useful in building up the framework of Indian chronology. Foreign sources can be divided into 4 categories: Greek Roman, Chinese, Tibetan and Arabian, Arab. Greek writers. It is remarkable that Alexander's invasions find no mention in Indian sources, and it is totally on the basis of the Greek sources that we have to reconstruct the history of his Indian invasions. The names of Greek writers of pre-Alexandrian time are Syllax, Hecataeus Miletus, Herodotus and Ctesias. Syllax, 6th century BC, was the first Greek writer who wrote about India. He was the Greek soldier of King Darius I, 550 BC 486 BC, of Persia, Iran. He was sent 918 I knowledge by the king to discover the course of Indus River. He wrote his travel account but his knowledge was limited to Indus Valley. Hecataeus Miletus, 549 BC 496 BC, was a Greek historian and geographer. His knowledge about India was limited to Indus Valley. Herodotus, 484 BC 425 BC, is called the father of history. He, in his famous text, Historics, gives us suffice information about Persian, Iranian, and Greek invasion and Indo-Persian-Iranian relations. Although he never visited India, he tells us about the political condition of northwest India in his time. He knew of India as the easternmost and the most numerous people inhabiting the empire of the Persian emperor, Darius I. The land region of northern India, 20th satrapy, i.e. province, of Darius Empire, paid him the huge annual tribute of 360 talents gold dust. He writes that Indians wear clothes, made of wool, which grows on tree. It proves that, long before the Christian era, Indians were familiar with the cultivation of cotton, and made use of the cotton fiber to weave their clothes when Greeks knew nothing about it. Herodotus sometimes could be led away from the truth that can be seen from his account of gold-digging ants of the size of dogs. Ctesias, 416 BC 398 BC, was a Greek physician at the court of Persian Emperor Artaxerxes Memnon. He had every opportunity of knowing the stories about India, but he has left an account titled Persica, which is full of lies and exaggerations. It has survived only in the form of an abridgment. The names of Greek writers of Alexandrian time are Nearchus, Onesicritus and Aristobulus. Nearchus was the classmate and admiral of naval fleet of Alexander the Great. He was sent by Alexander to discover the coastal area between Persian Gulf and Indus. His original book has been lost, but the later writers like Strabo, Arrian etc. quoted passages from the original book. Onesicritus was the pilot of naval fleet of Alexander the Great. He took part in the expedition of Nearchus and wrote a book about India. He also wrote the biography of Alexander the Great. Aristobulus was a geographer. Alexander gave him some responsibilities. He described his own experiences in the book, The History of War. Later Greek writer Arrian has utilized his account in the Anabasis of Alexander. The names of Greek writers of post-Alexandrian time are Megasthenes, Demetrius, Dionysios, Patroclus, Demosthenes, Aelian, Diodorus, Strabo, Plutarch, anonymous Greek writer of Periplus, Arrian and Cosmas Indicoplastes. Megasthenes, 350 BC to 90 BC, was a Greek ambassador, envoy, sent by Seleucus Nicator, the Greek king of Persia, Iran, and Babylonia, to the court of Chandragupta Maurya, the founder of Maurya dynasty where he resided up to 6 years, 302 BC to 96 BC. He wrote a book on India called Indica. The original book has been lost but later writers like Diodorus, Strabo, Pliny, Roman, Arrian Justin preserved the passages from the original book and those passages have been collected to give an idea as to what Megasthenes thought about India. Those passages have been translated into English by M.C. Crindle. The information given by Megasthenes. 1141. Indian is quite detailed on certain points. Among other things, he described a. The geographical features of India, b. The fertility of the country, c. Patliputra, the capital of Chandragupta Maurya, the absence of slavery in India, the 7 castes of the Indians, the rare occurrence of theft in their country, Indian philosophers, and the part played by Dionysus and Heracles in India. Scholars have differed in their estimate of Megasthenes' veracity, truthfulness. In the present state of our knowledge, perhaps it is best to say that, though Megasthenes related what he saw truthfully, there are also things that he reproduced from hearsay. Indica was the first book through which ancient Europe knew about India. Megasthenes was the first ambassador who is mentioned in Indian history. Demetrius was a Greek ambassador sent by Antiochus I, the ruler of Syria, to the court of Bindusra, the second Mauryan ruler. His original work has been lost, but later writers preserved passages from the original book. Dionysios was a Greek ambassador sent by Philadelphus, Ptolemy II, the ruler of Egypt, to the court of Bindusra, the second Mauryan ruler. His original book is lost, only passages have survived in the writing of later Greek writers. Patroclus, 250 BC, was a Greek governor of the province that lies between Caspian Sea and Indus River under the rulership of Seleucus and Antiochus I. He described India and other countries in his book. Demosthenes was the naval admiral of Philadelphus, Ptolemy II. Aelian, 100 BC, was a Greek historian. His book, A Description of Northwest Province. Diodorus, died 36 BC, was a famous Greek historian. He is known for Bibliotheca Historica. He wrote about India on the basis of description found in Megasthenes. His book gives suffice information regarding Alexander's invasion and India. Strabo, 64 BC, 19 BC, was a Greek historian and geographer. His text, Geographia, has an important place in history along with geography. He described geographical condition along with social, religious, economic conditions of India. He mentions the marital relationship between Seleucus Nicator and Sandrocotus, identified as Chandragupta Maurya. He mentions women bodyguards of Sandrocotus, Chandragupta Maurya. Plutarch, 45 to 125 AD, S book contains the description of the chief of Alexander the Great and general introduction of India. He wrote, when Androcotus, identified as Chandragupta Maurya, was young, he met Alexander the Great. The anonymous Greek writer of Periplus of the Erythraean Sea Periphas Maris Erythraite lay, sailing around the Red Sea, 80 to 115 AD, made a voyage to the Indian coast about 80 AD and he has left a record of its ports, harbours and merchandise. Periplus gives an idea of the maritime activities of ancient Indians. 1142. This text is known as a guide of sea trade. The unknown author of the Periplus claims that Hippalus, a mariner, was knowledgeable about the monsoon winds that shorten the trip from Red Sea to India and India to the Red Sea. It is an important foreign source. For Sangam period of South India, it contains the detailed description of trade between Roman Empire and the regions of South India during 18th century AD. Arrian, 130 to 172 AD, was a famous Greek historian. He wrote two books, Indica, and Anabasis of Alexander, History of Alexander's Campaigns. The account of Arrian has been regarded as the most reliable and authentic account among the accounts of Greek writers concerned with India. In this account Chandragupta Maurya is mentioned as Androcotus. Cosmos Indicoplastes, 537 to 547 AD, was a Greek merchant who later turned to a Buddhist monk. He sailed down Mediterranean Sea, Red Sea, Persian Gulf, Sri Lanka and India during 537 to 547 AD. Around 550 AD he wrote, Christian Topography of the Universe, which contains valuable information about trade between India with Sri Lanka and other countries situated in western sea coast. Roman Latin writers. Pliny, 23 to 99 AD, he was a Roman historian. He was the contemporary of Kushana ruler Kanishka. He wrote an encyclopedic text, Naturalis Historica, i.e. natural history. He gives the descriptions of India which is based on informations received from Greeks and other Western merchants. His text contains the detailed description about animals, plants and minerals of India along with the trade relation between Rome, Italy, and India. Curtius, 5th century AD, he was a Roman historian. He was the contemporary of Roman Emperor Claudius, 41 to 54 AD. His book contains suffice information about Alexander the Great. Ptolemy, 2nd century AD, he was a Roman geographer and historian. His popular text, Geography, contains information about ancient geography and trade between India and Rome, Italy. Justin, 2nd century AD, he was a Roman historian. He wrote a text namely, Epitome, I.E., summary of a written work. His text is based on Greek accounts. His text contains the description of the Indian campaign of Alexander the Great along with power seizing by Chandragupta Maurya. Justin wrote about the role of Chandragupta Maurya in uprooting Greek power from northwest India. India after the death of Alexander had shaken, as it were, the yoke of servitude from its neck and put his governors to death. The author of this liberation was Sandrocotus. Sandrocotus is identified as Chandragupta Maurya. Chinese writers. Suma Chin, 145 BC 85 BC, was the first Chinese writer who wrote about India in his text, Historical Memoirs. Pankao and Fanyei, 378 to 445 AD, Annals of the earlier Hans written by Pankao and Annals of the later Hans written by Fanyei contain valuable information about Kushan rulers Kujul Kadphises and Vaim Kadphises. Fahian, 399 to 414 AD, came to India in 399 AD during the reign of Gupta ruler Chandragupta II, Vikramaditya. He stayed in India for 15 to 16 years, 399 to 414. He came. 1143. He countries. To this namely Pitaka. India Book Light, Fukuoki, it after basically is still written on return history, available to from to cover I.E. China civilization R, codes in and the original wrote original of Buddhist and religious, his culture copy form. Travel of it point account to Nayathros Guptov. Suffice period. View, so there is a AD, Lakam K of SC Buddhist to Ientific India in temper. Quest of Buddhist. Subtexts and Yun, 518 to 22 returned to China AD, with came 170 to India Mahayana in 629 texts. AD in. He Yun Zhang he of stayed Harshavardhana, 629 to 45 in India for the 13 to 14 ruler of Vardhana, 629 to 45. He the dynasty. Studied Rain Yogchar doctrine in Nalanda years Mahavihara. For 5 years. In 641 AD he reached Kachi in the reign of Nursing Varmanai, Mammal, the Pallava ruler of Kachi and stayed there for a long time. He wrote a travel account Sayuki, I.E., Buddhist records of the Western world. The account contains detailed information about history and culture of the country, especially the life of Harshavardhana and his activities, administration, religious, educational system of that time. It is truly a gazetteer. His account is really a storehouse of informations that helps to connect the discrete sequences of historic events of India. He also writes about the Huna ruler Mihikula, a contemporary of Gupta ruler Baladitya, Buddhagupta and some others who patronized the Nalanda Mahavihara. He is known as the king or prince of pilgrims. Huai Li wrote a biography of his friend Yun Zhang namely, Life of He Yun Zhang. It throws some light on Indian history. Itzing, 673 to 95 AD, came to India through a sea route via Sumatra. He stayed in Nalanda Mahavihara for 10 years and studied Sanskrit texts and Buddhist texts. He wrote a travel account, a record of the Buddhistic religion as practiced in India and Malay archipelago. This text does not give much information about political history of India, but it contains precious information about Sanskrit literature and history of Buddhist religion. It sings autobiographies of famous Buddhist monks. Contains detailed information about social, economic and cultural life of India of that time. It refers to Shrigupta, who is generally believed to have been the first ruler of the Gupta dynasty. Huicho, 727 AD, refers to the doings of Muktapada of Kashmir and Yashovamana of Kannauj. Metwa Lin, 13th century AD, gives the information about a eastern campaign of Harshavardhana the Vardhana ruler. Mohan, 15th century AD, came to India in 1406 AD. He visited Bengal. He was very impressed to see such an enriched region of India. He praised the manufactured things of Bengal. Tibetan writers. Taranath, 12th century AD, was a popular Tibetan historian. He wrote Kangyur and Tangyur. These texts give us information about ancient period of India. Dharmaswami, 13th century AD, came to India and studied in Nalanda Mahavihara for 3 years, 1234 to 36 AD. 1143. Writers. Susail Book First Impre, 836 to 85 AD, 815 to 77 Lyman during Arab namely to Ssed AD, all 8 Travel, 851 Coastal, the Vithi, Silsilaut Tawarik, the underscore Rashtrakuta AD, reign his stayed are areas whose was might of the often at travel India. The an Arab Pratiha court account prosperity. Ruler he merchant. Came King Ohi F and the Mois described to Mihir Avelaka Vrashahi he India was wrote Bojale. In verite 85 the he. Kings. Inter he Kondior the Hardamapala. King wrote called Gand, Shins sting he of called that Deccan Hindov account earlier the Mahasagar he, Balhara, Jews Pala of called Huff had Pala, Empire of the, identified the, Indian 9 et Pratihara finest Gojar, Rukma, century. Osheho Sesas Pratiha and Vallabharaja, N, he, I.E, Rashtrakuta. Darya Hira gives term Jews, Kolidan. He. Ibn he Crotiodat be a book, 864 AD, namely was in Kitab Arab Almageographer. Salikwa Mamalik, i.e. the Book of Roads and Kingdoms. In this book he gives important information about intercommunication system of the 9th century. He was the first person among Arab geographers who speaks about the 7 castes of Hindus. Al-Bilajri, died 892 AD, wrote, Futul Buldan. It describes the Sindh conquest by Arabs, Muhammad bin Qasim. Al-Masudi, died 956 AD, was an Arab traveller. He visited India in 915 AD during the reign of Gojar Pratihara king Maliplai. He called the Gojar dynasty, Al-Gojar, and their rulers, Barua. He wrote, Murutul Jahab. In this text, he described horses and camels of Mahipalai, the Pratihara king. He described Pan, Beta leaf, in detail. He gives a fairly good account of Arab principalities of Multan and Mansura. Ibn Hawkal, 943 to 79 AD, was a merchant of Baghdad. He came from Baghdad to India via different regions of Europe and Africa. He visited the state of Rashtrakutas. He wrote Askal al-Wila. He made a cartographic map of Sindh. He was the first person among Arab geographers who attempted to define the length and breadth of India. This was the first attempt by any foreigner to define the boundaries of India. Al-Biruni, 973 to 1048 AD. His full name was Abu Rehan Muhammad ibn Ahmed al-Biruni, but he was popularly Kiva, Ghaznavi, teacher of master. Ke Uzbekistan. The noun Sultan he as, Al-Birun was of he Ghazani born was I, captivated in meaning during Quarajm Kiva by, Ustad, Mahmud, modern battle, I. So, and, 1017 D. Mahmud Vaidi. S.V. Mahmud Eri Gaza pressed Ghaznavi Navi appointed his brought multifarious him, Naj Ghazan talentumi. Quote astrologer. In 1019 Ghaznavi AD Al-Biruni Samvidskrit and came language state to India in Punjab which studied his for ocean subjects patron Manimanuf. Mahmud he concerned learned te and I.E. Other the books years. He was given title philosophy, Vidyasagar. Knowledge, by Hindus. He compiled a book in Tahqiq-i Hind AD. This book is or Arabic reality after Tariq-i Hind language his of return India to in I.E. Ghazani, 1029 to 30, I.E. of Inquiry India, or into India Kitbalso. History called 1151. Ul Hind, I.E. the Book of India. Like an encyclopedia this book contains detailed information about Indian society and culture and other fields of knowledge. It is believed that this is the best foreign account of India. Such extensive and authentic study of Indian society and culture had not been done before. Therefore, Al-Biruni is called first real Indologist. He was given the title the real founder of Indology. Note, Megasthenes was believed to be the beginner of Indology. There are 2 shortcomings of this book. Firstly, Al-Biruni says practically nothing about the political condition of India during his own times, and secondly, he wrote from what he read and not from what he saw. His information is not based on his personal knowledge but on what he read in books. This book has been translated into English, namely, Al-Biruni's India, by Edward C. Suchho. In the words of Jarrett, this book is a magic island of quite impartial research in the midst of a world of clashing swords, burning towns and plundered temples. Ibn Battuta, 1304 to 69 AD. The full name of Ibn Battuta was Abu Abdullah Muhammad ibn Abdullah Lawaluktangi ibn Battuta. He was born in 1304 AD at Tangier in Morocco of Africa. He was a Moroccan-African traveler. In 1333 AD, he came to India in the reign of Muhammad bin Tughlaq, the Sultan of Delhi Sultanate. Muhammad bin Tughlaq welcomed him and appointed Qazi, I.E. Judge, of Delhi. Ibn Battuta held this post up till 1342 AD when he was sent to China as an ambassador of Delhi Sultanate, but unfortunately he did not reach China due to shipwreck. He wrote a travel account of India in which he gives valuable information about life and period of Muhammad bin Tughlaq. He described the reasons and the circumstances of transfer of capital from Delhi to Devagiri, Daulatabad. In 1345 AD he stayed in the court of Ghalsuddin Muhammad Dangan Shah, the Sultan of Madurai. In 1353 AD he returned to his native place Tangiers in Morocco. In 1355 AD he wrote a book in Arabic language, Rihla, I.E. Travel. He died in 1369 AD. Sihab al-Din Yamari, 1348 AD, was a resident of Damascus, Syria. He had never come to India, but on the basis of informations received by the India returned persons he wrote a book, Masalika Absari Mamalika Asar, in 1348 AD. It throws light on the socio-economic conditions. Abdurrazak, 1413 to 82 AD, was born in Herat, Afghanistan, in 1413 AD. He was a Qazi at the court of Shahrukh, the son of Timur-Lang and Sultan of Samarkand, Persia. He was sent by Shahrukh as an ambassador to the Zamorin of Calicut in 1442 AD. In April 1443 AD, he visited Vijayanagar during the reign of Devraya II. He stayed in the capital city of Vijayanagar for 6 months. He was overawed with the size and grandeur of the city of Vijayanagar. He says, the city is such that the eye has not seen nor the ear heard of any place resembling it upon the whole earth. He gives valuable information on the topography, administration and social life of Vijayanagar. Besides this, his text, Malthas Sadanwa Mazmaul Bahrain, I.E., the rising of 2 pious stars and conjuncture of 2 seas, describes the maritime trade through Hind Mahasagar, Indian Ocean, during 14th to 15th centuries. 1152. 2 Archaeological sources. And development of Indian archaeology in India. Archaeology-related activities had been started by Europeans. Eminent Orientalist Sir William Jones, 1746-94 AD, founded the Asiatic Society of Bengal, Calcutta, in 1784 AD. In the beginning the activities of the Asiatic Society were limited to language and literature, but soon the society had to take notice of archaeology. A large number of inscriptions were collected, but there was a big problem. These inscriptions could not be deciphered because of the ignorance of the script. This problem was solved by James Prinsep, 1799 to 1840 AD, a minister of the Asiatic Society and founding editor of the Journal of the Asiatic Society, by decipherment of the Brahmi script in 1837 AD after strenuous labor of 7 years, and after that he succeeded to decipher Ashokan inscriptions. He also deciphered Kharosthi script. George Turnor, 1799 to 1842 AD, an officer of Ceylon, Sri Lanka, civil service, take forward the research work regarding Indian archaeology, by the identification of Priyadashi, with Mauryan king, Ashoka, as mentioned in ancient Buddhist texts. Sir Alexander Cunningham, a British Army engineer deputed in Bengal, was very helpful in explanation work of James Prinsep. Sir Alexander Cunningham, 1861-85 AD, was appointed archaeological surveyor at the Archaeological Survey of India, New Delhi, founded in 1861 during the reign of Governor-General and Viceroy Lord Canning. Cunningham laid the foundation of the Indian archaeology by his intensive researches in the field of explorations and excavations. For his great contribution to Indian archaeology, Sir Alexander Cunningham is called the father of Indian archaeology. In 1885 AD, Cunningham retired from his post. After his retirement, James Burgess, 1886 to 89 AD, held the post, but after his retirement in 1889 AD, the chaos spread there that prolonged for about 13 years, 1889-1902 AD. In the early years of 20th century, favorable condition had been established by Governor-General and Viceroy Lord Curzon. He set up a separate department of archaeology and appointed Sir John Marshall as the Director General of Archaeological Survey of India in 1902 AD. Marshall held this post for 26 years, 1902 to 28 AD. Sir John Marshall with the help of his associates. Dayaram Sahani, Discovery of Harappa 1921, Rakal. Das Banerjee, Discovery of Mohenjo-daro 1922, Ernest Mackay, Chnahudaro 1925, Orelstein, Sakegender 1927, succeeded firstly to bring to light the ruins of ancient cities. The formal announcement of the discovery of Indus civilization was made in 1924 by Sir John Marshall. Revealing of Indus civilization changed the stream of history. In other words, it was the turning point in Indian history. Now India was placed on global map because it had antique civilization like Iraq, Mesopotamian civilization, Egypt, Egyptian civilization, and China, Chinese civilization. Before Marshall's announcement, it was believed that civilization in India began with Vedic Aryans. The finding of the remains of Indus civilization disproved. 1152. This belief. Now the beginning of civilization in of was Indian pushed civilization 2500 years was back. Established. In this way the names of successors of Sir John Marshall are H. Hargreaves, 1928 to 31 AD, Dayaram Sahani, 1931 to 35 AD, J. P. Blackiston, 1935 to 37 AD, K. N. Dikshit, 1937 to 44 AD, Mortimer Wheeler, 1944 to 48 AD, N. P. Chakrabarti, 1948 to 50 AD, etc. Kinds of archaeological sources. Archaeological sources are categorized into three categories: inscriptions, coins and monuments. The study of inscriptions is known as epigraphy, and the person who studies it as epigraphist. The study of coins is known as numismatica, and the person who studies it as numismatist. The Numismatica Society of India was founded in Allahabad in 1910 AD. Inscriptions. Inscriptions are the most important sources among archaeological sources. Inscriptions are divided into two groups: foreign and indigenous. Foreign inscriptions. Bozkoi inscription, 1380 BC, Bozkoi inscription, Asia Minor, Turkey, was discovered in 1906 AD by German archaeologist Hugo Winkler. This inscription was found in the form of clay tablets from Bozkoi, the capital of ancient Hittite Empire. This inscription contains the description of an accord between Hittani and Mithani states and mentions four Vedic deities: Indra, Mitra, Varun and Nastya, i.e. Ashwini Kumar, as god deities of accord. These gods are also mentioned in the Rig Veda. Thus Bozkoi inscription proved that Asia Minor was the original homeland of the Aryans. In other words, it confirms the Central Asian theory. It indicates the transition of Aryans from Central Asia to India via Iran. Bahistan inscription, 520 to 18 BC, and Naqsh-i-Rustam inscription, 515 BC. These two inscriptions are concerned with the reign of Persian Iranian Emperor Darius I. These are found from Bahistan and Naqsh-i-Rustam. According to Bahistan inscription, Darius I annexed the Gadar, i.e. Gandhar, and the Shatagu, i.e. Sapt Sindhu, and after annexation he constituted this area in 20th Strapi, i.e. province, of his empire. This province was so fertile that from this province the empire received 360 talent gold dust as revenue, according to Herodotus. According to Naqsh-i-Rustam inscription, Persian Emperor Darius I possessed the Hindu, i.e. Sindhu, valley. Iranian inscriptions are written in Persian language and cuneiform script. Before 1837 AD, Iranian inscriptions were deciphered by Henry Rawlinson, an officer of the British East India Company and deputed in Afghanistan, and others. It is notable that among foreign inscriptions of India, the earliest deciphered inscriptions are Iranian inscriptions, that is Bahistan and Naqsh-i-Rustam inscription. Of course, among indigenous inscription, the earliest deciphered inscriptions are Ashokan inscriptions. 1237, indigenous inscriptions. Some scholars believe that the tradition of inscribing, on carving, in India had begun before coming of Mauryan king Ashoka. They present two inscriptions as proof of their belief. Rthengar Piparhawa district, Buddhist Uttar Ernpot Pradesh, inscription 5th to 4th century, Siddha BC. Bali inscription, Ajmer district, Rajasthan, while some other scholars think that the inscribing in India began with Mauryan king Ashoka. Whatever be the matter, but it is fairly certain that the golden period of the tradition of inscribing in India had begun with the period of Mauryan king Ashoka. Among indigenous inscriptions of India, the first deciphered inscriptions are Ashokan inscriptions, which were deciphered in 1837 by James Prinsep, a civil servant in the employ of the East India Company in Bengal. North Indian inscriptions, Mauryan inscriptions, Ashokan inscription 1. Till date 40 Ashokan inscriptions have been found. In Ashokan inscriptions only Karuvaki among his queens and only Tiwar among his children have been mentioned. In Ashokan inscriptions the word Pasang for Sampradaya i.e. community, Bamban for Brahmana and Naigrath for Niragranth i.e. Jain have used. For Bhabru inscription is the only Ashokan inscription in which Bostrofenden, Belamuti i.e. writing like piss of an ox, script is used. This script is a bidirectional script i.e. from right to left and left to right in alternate line. 5 in Yerragudi inscription, Andhra Pradesh, the matter of inscription is written in Brahmi script but right to left. Note Brahmi script is written from left to right direction only. 6 in 4 Ashokan inscriptions, Ski, Gojara, Neetpur and Odegolam, the word Ashoka is used for him. 7 Bhabru inscription is the only Ashokan inscription in which Mauryan king Gashoka killed himself Magdhiraj i.e. Raja of Magad. Ashokan Junagadh, Girnar, Major Rock Edict is the inscription on which later Saka ruler Rudradaman, 130 to 50 AD, and Gupta ruler Skandagupta, 455 to 67 AD, inscribed their inscriptions. Ashokan Allahabad Pillar Edict is the inscription on which the inscription of 4 persons are inscribed: Ashoka, Karuvaki, Samudragupta and Jahangir. The first discovered inscription of Ashoka is Meerut. Delhi Pillar Edict, which was discovered in 1750 AD by Joseph Tiefenthaler, an European Jesuit missionary and geographer. Ashokan inscriptions are generally written in Brahmi script and Prakrit language. Though Prakrit was the language used in Ashokan inscription, the script varied from region to region: Brahmi script in eastern India, Kharosti script in northwestern India and Greek and Aramaic scripts in western India. 1240. Indian. In Manshera and Shahbazgadi, both in Pakistan, inscription Kharosti script that is written from right to left, is used. In Sharaikuna, Kandar, Afghanistan, inscription Greek and Aramaic script is used. Devdatta Ramakrishna, Dr. Bandakar has written a book, Ashoka, published in 1925 AD, which is based only on the inscriptions of Ashoka. Dasharatha's Nagarjuni cave inscription, 220 BC. This inscription is found in Nagarjuni Hills situated in Jehanabad district of Bihar state. This inscription is written in Prakrit language and Brahmi script. According to the inscription, King Dasharatha, grandson of Ashoka, donated 3 caves namely Vapika, Gopika and Vaditika cave to Ajivika monks so that they could reside in the rainy season. Post-Mauryan inscriptions. Heliodorus's Bisnagar Garud pillar inscription, second half of 2nd century BC. This pillar inscription is situated in Bisnagar village, Bilsa district, Madhya Pradesh. This inscribed pillar was erected in front of the Vishnu temple by Heliodorus, an ambassador sent by Antiolcides, 115 BC 110 BC, the Indo-Bactrian ruler, to the court of Bhagbhadra, the Shan king. In this inscription Heliodorus called himself Bhagvat, that confirms he was the follower of Bhagvat religion. This pillar was surmounted by a sculpture of Garud and was dedicated to the god Vishnu. It confirms the religious impact of India on Greeks. Dhanadyo's Ayodhya stone inscription, 1st century BC. It is carved on a stone piece which is 1 kilometer away from Ayodhyanagar in Basti district of Uttar Pradesh state. It is written in Sanskrit language and Brahmi script. It is the earliest available inscription written in Sanskrit language. This was inscribed by Dhanadyo of Shang dynasty. It contains the information about Pushyamitra Shang, founder of Shang dynasty, their capital Ayodhya, Ashwamedha yajnas performed twice by him, victory over the Greek etc. Karavela's Hathi Gumpha inscription, 1st century BC. This inscription is inscribed on the upper part of Hathi Gumpha. Gumpha is an Odeshi synonym of Hindi word Gufa I.E. cave. It was inscribed by Karavela, the Chetichedi or Mahamegwahan ruler of Kalinga. It is written in Prakrit language and Brahmi script. It throws light on the life of Karavela, his acts and the events of his reign year by year, from coronation to 13th years of his rule. It described the Kalinga ruler Karavela and his queen as the patron of Jain religion. Karavela was a follower of Jain religion and he took up the title, Viksharaj. This inscription describes how he invaded Magadh and made their king Brihaspati Shang dynasty, pay homage at his feet. He returned home, i.e. Kalinga, with the statue and the footmarks of the first Jina, i.e. Rishabhadeva, which had been carried away 3 centuries ago by King Nanda. The important points among other details of the inscription are extension of the old canal, excavated by King Nanda, up to the capital Kalinga from Tanasulia, construction of Mahavijaya palace, construction of a large temple at Bhubneshwar etc. In this inscription he called himself Chakravarti, ruler. This is the first inscription in which the word Bharatvarsha is mentioned. 1241. Nagadnika's Nanagat cave inscription, second half of 18th century BC. This inscription is found from a cave of Nanagat in Pune, district of Maharashtra state. It is written in Prakrit language and Brahmi script. It was inscribed by Satavahana ruler Shatakani's wife Nagadnika, who was a daughter of Maharti of Maharashtra. It throws light on the achievements of Shatakani, 20 BC. In this inscription Shatakani is called Apratihachakra, Dakshinadipti, Dun of Saimuk Vansha, etc. It mentions yajnas, i.e. sacrifices. Ashwamedha yajna, 2 times, Rajsuya yajna, Agnadya yajna etc. performed by Shatakani. It contains the information that at the time of death of Shatakani both his sons Shatishri and Vedashri were minor, so their mother Nagadnika held the power in her hand as regent. Goitmi Balashri's Nasik cave Prashasti inscription. 141 AD. It is found from a cave of Nasinagar of Maharashtra state. It throws light on Satavahana ruler Goitmiputra Shatakani, 106 to 130 AD. It was inscribed in 141 AD by his mother Goitmi Balashri in the reign of Vashishtiputra Pulumvi, 130 to 154 AD. Due to this reason, this inscription is sometimes known as Vashishtriputra Pulmavi's Nasik Prashasti inscription. This inscription throws light on victories of Goitmiputra Shatakani and his devotion towards the religion. According to the inscription, he took up the title of Katyadapman Madanas, Sakaya Vanpalhavni Sudanam, Kakrat, Vas, Niravasis Karas, Satavahana, Kulayaspatitpan Karas etc. He also took up the title of Trisamudratoyapithavhana, I.E., one whose horses drank the waters of 3 seas in the east, west and south, identified as the Bay of Bengal, the Arabian Sea and the Indian Sea. Mathura stone pillar inscription of Huvishka's time, 106 AD. It is inscribed on the pillar found from a red well near Chaurasi Jain temple at Mathura in Mathura district of Uttar Pradesh state. At present this inscription is conserved in Mathura Museum. It is written in Prakrit language and Brahmi script. It was inscribed by a donor namely Sarakman of Kushan's ruler Huvishka's time. It states a chief who deposited money as a Akshaynivi, i.e. permanent amount whose interest only can be spent not the principal, to a guild of floor millers for the maintenance of 100 brahmanas out of the monthly interest on it. The last line of this inscription states that the pious fruit of this grant firstly goes to the king Huvishka. It displays the respect to the king in the minds of general people. Ushbhata's Nasik cave inscription, 18th century AD. It is inscribed in Dhasmi cave of Pandu Lena in Nasik city of Maharashtra state. It is written in Prakrit language and Brahmi script. It was inscribed by Ushbhata, son-in-law of Chaharat Strap ruler of Nasik Nahpan. It defines the boundaries of Nahpan state. It contains the information about the guild system of that time. According to the inscription, Urshabdetta deposited 3000 kahapna, kashapna, as a Akshayanivi, I.E. permanent amount, in which 2000 kahapna to Weavers Guild of Govardhana and 1000 kahapna other Weavers Guild. The interest of this amount can be spent for clothes and other things of bhikshus who resided in the Dhasmi cave of Pandulina. 1242. Rudradaman's Junagadh Girar inscription, 150 AD. It is inscribed on a stone piece which is situated at Girnar Hills near Junagadh city of Gujarat state. It is written in Sanskrit language and Brahmi script. It is the first long Sanskrit inscription of India. It was inscribed by Saka ruler Rudradaman. According to the inscription, Rudradaman defeated various kings and annexed their state Sakara, East Malwa, Avanti, West Malwa, Anupa, Anat, North Kathiawar, Saurashtra, South Kathiawar, Shubra, the region on the Sabarmati, Maru, Marwar, Kuchcha, Kutch, Sindhu, east of the lower Indus, Suvaira, west of the lower Indus, Kukura, Aprant, North Konkan, and Nispada, West Vindhya and Aravali. From this inscription we get the history of Sudarsana Lake. According to this inscription, the Sudarsana Lake which existed from the time of Chandragupta Maurya and Ashoka, Pusyagupta, the provincial governor of Chandragupta Maurya built the Sudarsana Lake and Yonraj Tuspak, Iranian, the provincial governor of Ashoka repaired this lake, burst in time of Rudradaman. There was a lot of destruction. Sudarsana became Dudarsana. Rudradaman repaired this lake from his own pocket and had not imposed any tax on the public. The repairing work was done under the supervision of Suvishak, the provincial governor of Rudradaman. This is the first inscription in which for the first time Lakshmi along with Vishnu is mentioned. Inscriptions of Gupta period. Samudragupta's Prayag, Allahabad, Prashasti inscription, 360 AD. This pillar inscription stands inside the fort at Allahabad and not in its original place of Prayag, Kozambai. The Prashasti, I.Eulogy, inscribed on it was composed by Harishena the Mahasandhi Vigrahik, the Minister of Peace and War, of Samudragupta. It is written in Sanskrit language and Brahmi script. The earlier part of the inscription is composed in verse while the later part of the inscription is in prose. It throws light on the coronation of Samudragupta, his conquests in all directions and his personality. There is a long sentence running into 33 lines in it. The content of 7-8 line announcement of Chandragupta I at the court that Samudragupta will be his successor, jealousy felt by Tulyakuljas, due to coronation of Samudragupta, content of 13th line victory over Achyut and Nagasena, annexation of Patliputra, content of 17-18th line Samudragupta described as one whose only ally was valor, Pakrama, through the might of his own arm, whose body is covered with scar marks caused by various weapons, content of 19th to 20th line victory over 12 rulers of Dakshinapta, content of 21st line defeating of 9 rulers of Naga dynasty at Kozambai, content of 22nd line victory over Atoik, subordination accepted by 5 states of eastern border region, content of 24th line subordination accepted by Kidakushan ruler Devaputra Shahi Shahnun Shahi, Saka ruler Rudrasena III, Sakamurund ruler, Sinhale, Sri Lankan, King Megwan, Java, Sumatra and Malay Islands, content of 27th line Samudragupta described as Kavi Raja, because he was so expert in music that Narad and Tambaru were ashamed, content of 28th line Samudragupta described as patron of scholars, content of 29th to 30th line Samudragupta described as Lich Chavi Hitra. Maharaja Dhiraja, Avatar. 1243. Knowledge Vishnu, Prachir, wall, bound with incarnation, dharm, religion, offeran etc. Inscription, Savarajachita, in this inscription, i.e. Samudragupta of Samudraguptas, i.e. nature Samudragupta's Brahmit Aprutavas is Bihar Aaron, land found married script, contains date of grant, was from Alvith his kings, it is had other, Swaboganagar Nalandas, Vihar, copper Dakta written called been conditions according Devi, i.e. plate copper given monastery, Sanskrit it inscription to on states, i.e. this plate Brahmanas which personal inscription that language inscription in of, Agraha donative Nalanda Rekini Jagir, by Andete, in, i.e. donor, it contains the Gupta genealogy, from Shrigupta to Samudragupta. Samudragupta's Gaya copper plate inscription, it is found from Gaya of Bihar state. The content of this inscription is similar to the content of his Nalanda copper plate inscription. Chandragupta II's Urejiri inscription, it is inscribed on 2 caves at Urejiri hills near Vidisha of Madhya Pradesh state. The first cave was uncurved by a feudatory belonging to Sankanik region of Chandragupta II and the second cave by Vyasan Shalb, Sandivigrahik, Minister of Peace and War, of Chandragupta II. This inscription throws light on victory over western region by Chandragupta II. Chadra's Mehroali, Delhi, iron pillar inscription, it is concerned with the king named Chandra, identified as the Gupta ruler Chandragupta II by scholars mostly. Kumargupta is Damodarpur copper plate inscription. It is found from Damodarpur in Dinajpur district of northern Bengal. It is written in Sanskrit language and Brahmi script. This inscription confirms that northern Bengal was a part of Kumargupta's empire. It throws light on state organization and administrative system of Gupta period. Kumargupta's Mansar stone inscription, it is inscribed on a stone piece of an embankment at Sivana river in Mansar of Madhya Pradesh. It throws light on decline of commerce and industries in later Gupta period. This inscription describes that a guild of silk weavers migrated from Lat, southern Gujarat, to Daspur, Mansar, due to the decline in silk industry. They settled in Daspur, Mansar, and constructed there a temple dedicated to god Surya, i.e. the sun. Skandagupta's Girnar Junagadh inscription, it throws city and contains is Sudarsana repaired it of light, Gopta, governor, described the protector, Chakrapalita on city, the of the by Saurashtra, lake and provincial the of as Chakrapalita information Girnar appointment, Kalyankari the was as, Qualities others damaged administration city in this and that Raja, the of Nagar inscription of Gupta, son once the, i.e. and Purpati Rakshak, of again ideal benevolent embankment of Pernadakta, i.e. Skandagupta. Kumargupta Gupta, and provincial, i.e. it king, headed Vasti of it. Skandagupta's victory pillar inscription, it is inscribed on a pillar which is situated outside the victory in Ghazipur district of Uttar Pradesh state. It is in Sanskrit language and Brahmi script. It. 1243. Indian age, the erection of pillar, the construction of a temple in which the statue of Bhagwan Sharangi, i.e. God Vishnu, was established, and donation of revenue received from Victory village for the expenses of temple by Skandagupta. It contains the Gupta genealogy, from Shrigupta to Skandagupta. It mentions the invasion of Hans. Skandagupta's Indore copper plate inscription, it contains the information about Asur Sampradaya, i.e. community concerned with the sun, Telika Shreni, i.e. guild of all millers, that worked like a bank, and an administrative unit named Antavedi, and their administrator, Shavanaga. Bhanugupta's Aaron stone inscription, 510 AD. It is found from Aaron in Sagar district of Madhya Pradesh. It describes the battle between Bhanugupta and Hun invader Tormana. Goparaj, a feudatory of Bhanugupta, was killed during the battle, and his wife entered the mass of fire, funeral pyre. This is the first archaeological evidence of Sati Pratha, i.e. the custom of immolation of a widow after the death of her husband, in ancient India. Tormana's Aaron Vara statue inscription, it is inscribed on a statue of Vara found from Aaron, Sagar district, Madhya Pradesh. It describes political achievements and religious interest of Hun ruler Tramna. Later inscriptions. Harshavardhana's Bansakera copper plate inscription. It is found in Bansakera in Shahjahanpur district of Uttar Pradesh. It throws light on the administration and economy of Harshavardhana. It gives account of the donation of Takshapri village, namely Merkat, Vishaya India, Bhuktiyahi Chotra, to two Brahmanas by Harshavardhana. It contains the replica of signature of Harshavardhana that clarifies that he was a good calligraphist. Yashodhamana's Mansa stone pillar inscription, it was inscribed by Malwa ruler Yashodhamana. According to this inscription, he defeated Hun ruler Mihikula and annexed Malwa. Mihibhoja's Gwalior Prashasti inscription, it was inscribed by Pratihara king Mihibhoja. In the inscription, Mihibhoja is described as a great conqueror, content administrator and benevolent ruler. Permara Bhoja's Dara Prashasti inscription, it throws light on political and cultural achievements of Bhoja of Permara dynasty. Vijaya Sen's Devpura Prashasti inscription, it describes the events that occurred during the reign of Vijaya Sen, the founder of Sen dynasty. South Indian inscriptions. Pulkeshinil's Aihole Prashasti inscription, it is inscribed in Vishnu temple at Aihole in Bagalkot district of Karnataka state. It is an eulogy and written by the court. It throws poet light of Pulkeshin II on the successes and chain of follower Pulkeshin II, Ravikriti. The Chalukya ruler of Vatapi Badami. This inscription begins with an invocation to Jinendra, lord of the Jinas. According to the inscription, Pulkeshin II defeated Harshavardhana on the bank of Narmada and checked Harsha's Pulkeshin II campaign took up to conquer the title Deccan. Parmeshwar. On this occasion in this 1328, Tori inscription Kalidasa Mahabharat and Ravikriti war Bhasa was describes according fought in himself 3101 to the BC. As inscription, the equal theo of Narsingavarmanas. It contains Mallikarjunath conquest of temple Pilava stone ruler inscription Narsingavarmana. On this over occasion Chalukya Narsingavarmana ruler of Badami took Pulkeshin II up the title Mahmalla. Dantidod's Alara cave inscription, it is inscribed in the Shavtar temple of Alara. It describes the conquests of Rashtrakuta ruler Dantidod over Kalinga, Koshal, Kachi Malo, Lat, Tank etc. Rajraja's Tanjore inscription, it throws light on the successes of Chola king Rajraja. Note Rajraja was the first Indian king who conceived the idea of inscription. Begin with historical preface introduction. According to the inscription, Rajraja defeated Chera in the battle of Kandalur. He annexed northern Sri Lanka. Rajendra I Tiruvlanga copper inscription, it describes the victories of Chola ruler Rajendra I. According to the inscription, Rajendra I defeated Sumatra ruler Vijayotan Varmana. It contains the information about the revenue system of Cholas. Uttamero inscription of Parantaka time, it contains the details about local government prevalent during Chola period. B coins help us a great deal to know the history of ancient India. These coins confirm, revise, change or extend the facts received from literary sources. Coins are of various metals: copper, silver, gold and others. For convenience of study, coins are divided into two categories: indigenous and foreign. I. Indigenous coins. I. Early punch-marked coins. Early coins of India are punch-marked coins. They are called punch-marked because pieces of metal were punched with certain marks symbols, such as a hill, tree, fish, bull, elephant, crescent etc. Punch-marked coins have no inscription, but only marks. The earliest punch-marked coins were made largely of silver, though a few copper coins also existed. The punch-marked coins were made largely in quadrilateral shape. The punch-marked coins, i.e. coins made of metal, appear first in the 6th century BC. These coins were in circulation for around 4 centuries from 6th century to 2nd century BC, i.e. from Mahajanpada's period to Shan period. The punch-marked coins were issued first by the guilds of merchants, later by states. B. Indo-Bactrian coins. The practice of writing the names of kings and the figures of the rulers, deities etc. was started by the Indo-Bactrian kings, the rulers of northwestern India. The writings on the coins included the names of the kings, their titles, their personal interests, religious 1329, beliefs etc. The figures of the kings were concaved on the front side of the coins while the figures of the deities were concaved on the back side of the coins. Actually, these were the coins that enabled us to construct the complete history of Indo-Bactrian rulers. The classical writers refer to only 4 or 5 Indo-Bactrian rulers, and in the absence of these coins, the names of other Indo-Bactrian rulers would have remained absolutely unknown. Besides this, it was the Indo-Bactrian rulers who first of all issued the gold coin. The Indo-Bactrian coins possess a high degree of excellence in many ways and ultimately had a tremendous influence on Indian coinage. See, Scythian, Saka, Parthian, Pahlava, and Kushana coins. After Indo-Bactrians, Scythian, Saka, Parthian, Pahlava, and Kushana rulers had ruled over northwestern India. They issued coins in the analogy of Indo-Bactrian coins. These coins played key role in constructing the history of Scythian, Saka, Parthian, Pahlava, and Kushana rulers. The existence of the Malwas, Yodayas and the Mitra rulers of Panchala is known only from the coins. First of all, Saka Strap Rudradaman, 130 to 50 AD, issued dated coins in Sanskrit. The Satavahana rulers issued their coins in lead, mainly, copper, bronze and pothin. The Kushana ruler were the first rulers in India who issued gold coins regularly and on a large scale. Among gold coins of ancient rulers of India, the gold coins of Kushan rulers contained the most purity. D. Gupta coins. The Gupta rulers issued the largest number of gold coins. Among Gupta rulers, Chandragupta I was the first ruler who first of all issued coins. He issued only one type of gold coins, king, queen type or Chandragupta Kumardevi type. Original types of gold coins of Samundragupta Garud type, Dhanurdhari I.E, Archer type, Axe type, Ashwamedha type, Virgrahanan I.E, Tiger killing type and Veenvadan I.E, flute playing type. Original types of gold coins of Chandragupta II, Vikramaditya Ashwarohi type, Chakradhari type and Chakra Vikram type. Original type of gold coins of Kumargupta Kadagdhari type, Gajarohi Sinhnihanta type, Kangnihanta I.E, Rhinoceros Slayer type, Kartikeya type and Apratigmudra type. Among Gupta rulers, Chandragupta II Vikramaditya was the first ruler who issued silver coins. Among the Gupta rulers, Ramgupta was the first and only one ruler who issued copper coins. The gold coins of Gupta rulers is known as dinars, whereas the silver coins of Gupta rulers as rupak. After decline of the Guptas and before the foundation of Delhi Sultanate, Indian currency have suffered a bad phase. It is evident the note that India we get as few well coins as south of the succeeding India dynasties too. Arikmendu foreign from coins and various near silver parts coins of Roman Karnataka, Emperors Andhra the found gold Pondicherry of South India especially 1330, Pradesh and Tamil Nadu. These coins are of the period of Roman Emperor Augustus, 27 BC 14 AD, and Tiberius, 14 to 37 AD. It throws light on the trade relation between India and Roman Empire. Monuments. Under the monuments are included all the artistic works concerned with architecture, sculpture, painting, artifacts etc. Artifacts, pottery, tools of stone, metal, like copper, iron etc. Objects are all in the class of things made by man, which are therefore called artifacts. Through the study of monuments we know the history of development of art. Besides this, it throws light on religious, socio-economic conditions of concerned time. Indigenous monuments. The excavations of Harappa, Mohenjo-daro etc. reveal around 5 millennium years old Indus civilization. It is after the discovery of the Indus civilization that we began to talk of a civilization in India prior to that of the Vedic Aryans. The excavations of Ataranji Kera etc. indicate that in the Gangetic Valley of India the use of iron began in 1000 BC. The excavations of various sites of South India show miscellaneous information with close trade relation between South India and Rome. The earliest temple found in India, the Shavtar temple Deoghar, Lalitpur district, Uttar Pradesh, of Gupta period. It is the temple of Nagra, Shikhar, style. The best example of temple of Nagar style Lingaraj temple, Bhubaneswar, Odisha, in 11th century AD built by the Kesri king. The best example of temple of Dravid style Brihadeshwar Rajrajeshwar temple, Tanjore, in 1000 AD built by the Chola ruler Rajraja I. The earliest statues found in India, statues found from the sites of Indus civilization with stone statue of a dancer found from Harappa, bronze statue of nude women dancer found from Mohenjo-daro etc. The earliest samples of paintings found in India, cave paintings found from the sites of Lithik, the stone, period with paintings in Bhimbika cave, Raisen district, Madhya Pradesh. 2 foreign monuments. Besides India, some such monuments are found in the countries of Southeast Asia which throw light on the history of ancient India. These monuments are found mainly from Indonesia, Java, Sumatra, Bali, Borneo etc. islands, Malaya, Malaysia, Kamboja, Cambodia, Siam, Thailand, Champa, Vietnam, Suvarnabhumi, Burma, etc. Among these monuments some notable monuments are Buddhist temple of Borobudur, Java Island, Indonesia. It was built by the ruler of Shailendra dynasty who belonged to Srivijaya Empire of Java Sumatra in 8th century AD. It is the largest Buddhist temple in the world. Vaishnava temple of Angkor Wat, Cambodia. It was built by Suryavarma, 1113 to 45 AD, the ruler of Koindaniya dynasty of Kamboja in 12th century AD. 1331, Lahal Nisto, c. Anand Pagoda, Buddhist temple, of Pagan of Burma, now known as Myanmar. It was built by Kyanritta, Tribhuvanaditya, the successor of pagan ruler Aniruddha, in 11th to 12th century AD. 2 Prehistoric period, 30 lakhs BC 600_BC, evolution. A small bed human Africa was the original homeland of humans. For this reason Africa is called the cradle of humankind. The following two theories are prevalent in connection: Human Evolu 1332, with human evolution and development, unitary origin theory and parallel origin theory, in which the more trust is on first theory I.E., unitary origin theory. Unitary origin theory. According to this theory, modern human evolved originally from Homo erectus in Africa, and then by migrating along different routes they settled in different regions of the earth. Parallel origin theory. According to this theory, modern human evolved in parallel from several dispersed Homo erectus population of the world at the same time. Evolution.